Grana Weepinny Bong, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things Transformers and Transformers action figure related. And today we're leaning heavily into the action figure related side of everything, because today we're going to take a deeper dive into Ramen Toy's 80s Commander, probably better known to you and I as the Centurions Power Extreme. So for those of you who don't know, the Centurions is actually a cartoon that started back in 1986, and growing up I loved the Centurions. It didn't stick around for very long, but it's certainly a concept and an idea that kind of stuck in my head. And also, to bring it back to the Transformers point, it also had the voice acting of one Frank Welker in some of the cartoon episodes that they did, and obviously that is better known to you and I as the classic voice of Megatron. So Ramen Toys are basically reimagining the Centurions for the modern day consumer, and they're calling them the 80s Commander. Now, I've been covering this in my weekly Transformers news update, just kind of putting it at the beginning, but this was such a big update because they did a live stream as well. I thought actually this needs its own little video just to make sure that it's updated, otherwise it would have taken up most of the Transformers news video. So Ramen Toys did a live update to show off the latest prototypes that they have for their upcoming figures. Now, the first one that we're going to take a look at is actually better known to you and I as Ace McCloud, but for them, this is what they're calling Sky Commander. So their Sky Commander is looking great. I mean, we can see here all the molded detailings, the plastics that's going on here. Really cool looking detail. There's a lovely weathering effect that they kept talking about with these figures as well. Don't worry about the head sculpt, we'll come on to that in a little bit. It does look a little bit odd with a lack of eyes there. So they gave Ace McCloud his little bit of a 360 and also held it up against the size of the head, because this is a smaller inch figure. This is at like 1/12 scale, so they showed like it next to his head. I don't know how big this dude's head is, but you can see it's a reasonably smallish figure. They showed the backpack and the detailing that is going to be on this, and also that the wings on this articulate up and down. With all the ports and everything's just fully changeable. They showed how you can turn things around in the ports. They do say later on that the ports have been tightened up, but I do have to say that it looked a little bit loose-ish when he was moving it, and he seemed reluctant to kind of let go too much of that section on the bottom of the leg, although in other pictures we do see it moving round and still holding tight. So maybe it's just my perception. I do say go and look at this live feed on Facebook. I'll put the link down in the description so you can check this out yourself. That was just my thoughts on it. They do say that they are working very hard to make sure that these ports are tight, because obviously that is super important with all these parts being interchangeable. They then used this Ace McCloud to show off the kind of blister pack that everything's going to come in. So you can see they're all going to hold the same pose that they said, and then the head, the helmet is going to be in the top corner with the hands in the other corner, and then the rest of it will just be the accessories that it comes with. And they also showed it off next to a G.I. Joe figure to show how big the packaging is going to be. So it's going to be about the same size as your most recent G.I. Joes. They did also speak about this kind of element around this missile being the wrong color, and say, yep, they've changed that color now, so the one that you get is actually going to be the more classic look on that. So that's good that they have listened around that figure. Then you can see here as well, this is it versus the original figure that we got, so it's looking good. I think it looks a lot better. It's more grey rather than silver, though, those parts in between, so some people may like that, some people may not like that, but all in all, I think that this Sky Commander looks very nice. Still weirded out a little bit by the eyes just being completely blank, but again, we'll come on to that in a sec. We then came on to the next one, and this was the Ground Commander. So this is the one that I've got, the fully weaponed up guy. So this is better known to you and I as Jake Rockwell, and this dude looks great. This is actually the one that I've ordered, and you can see again that weathering effect looks really good here. They did say actually though, the bits that look black on this that separate the yellow, they're actually grey. So it didn't quite come out as they wanted to on the camera, but you can see that the missile launchers, you can see all of the different sections that this comes with are absolutely brilliant. Love the look on this dude. That light in the side as well articulates up and down but doesn't shine, which I guess is a little bit of a shame. They could have done something a little bit there. They did also use this figure to speak about things like articulation and speak about some other things as well, and they showed the articulation on the light going up and the light going down. They spoke here about the missiles or the projectiles that they're going to be using, but they don't actually project, so they're just for the model. So there's no spring loadedness here, there's nothing that's going to move, which I think is a little bit of a shame. Would have been nice to have those kind of spring loaded. They did also address this challenge that people have come to them with the yellow, and we can see here that when you put it next to the original figure, the yellow here is a little bit too yellow. Should be a darker orange to be like the original figure. However, what they're saying is that this is what they're going with. This is what was shown in the original images. This is the one that they're going with. They have to start as well, they were saying, with a lighter color because this wash that they put onto the figure darkens it off, so they couldn't start too dark because it would have gone too dark, and this is the yellow they're going with. Personally, I'm okay with it. I don't feel that it needs to be that orange, and if they've been upfront with it since the beginning and no one's really pushed back, you know, it is what it is. We're this far down the production run with this, so it's probably a little too late in the day for them to change it. For me, it looks good. Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. Would you have preferred to see him a brighter orange or a darker orange? They also used Jake to kind of speak about the head sculpts and also to talk about the helmet itself. The helmet pops off, and then the helmet head that comes with it kind of splits into, he used the analogy of it's a little bit like a peanut, and then you can take the head off. Now the reason for this is because if they'd gone with PVC or something like that just slides over the head, it would have had to have been a heavier, larger head, and it wouldn't have actually been, in comparison to the head, it wouldn't have had that smooth, slimmer fit, so it's got to split in two, which is pretty good. And then you can have him hold the helmet as well, which is rather nice. Another thing that was shown off on this figure was the double jointed knees, which is nice. So heavy articulation there and double jointed elbows. So very nice, smooth articulation there. So you'll get some really nice looking poses out of this. They then showed off who Ace said was his favorite of all of these, which is the Sea Commander, better known to you and I as Max Ray. So this looks really good. On seeing the almost finished article, I do see why this is his favourite one, and also now wish that this was the one that I decided to pick up. You can see them on the stand here. They did mention that unfortunately these figures are not going to come with stands, but he'd also mentioned that you can pick stands up pretty much anywhere, but I think it would have been nice, especially for this one, for him to come with stands. Something else that they spoke about on this figure was the weathering, and I think that weathering is really on show with this one, when you can see, especially around the chest area on the green, and you can see the weathering versus the original version that comes prototype not weathered. I think that there's really good attention to detail on this one, and I can see why this is his favorite. It's certainly now my favorite. Looks absolutely gorgeous, especially with that sea background there. We can see all of those maneuverable parts that are going to change, and you can change them up. You could put the those sections on his arms, on his hands, and then when we compare it to the original character, obviously he's not the luminescent green that the original character is, so they had said they were going for a more army aesthetic with all of these characters to make sure that it was kind of like a modern take on it. And you know what? I'm good with it. I think that's really cool. I do like what they've done here together. They're going to look absolutely fantastic. They did then speak about the head sculpts. So the head sculpts, basically they're coming next week. So they did this live stream, and fair dues to them. They've been doing this. This is the third live stream they've done. They've kept everybody really up to date, and that's something I think that they've done very well. But they said the finished article on all of these head sculpts are coming next week. So hopefully We'll get a few more pictures next week. If we put them next to their counterparts from the 80s, we can see how the head sculpts go. And they have made some changes. Ace McCloud, I would say, is probably the closest. And they've added a little bit more beard to some other ones there. But no, altogether, I think they look great. I'm super hyped for this. I'm getting one, and then I'll probably get the other two if the first one that I get is looking good. They also answered some questions from the audience, and one of them was, if sales go well, will you be releasing any more accessories packs? They said of course, they're always open to doing things like that, especially for something like the Centurions, because we know Centurions came with multiple add-on packs even back in the day. They were ahead of the game there with accessory packs. The next question that was asked was, will the gun barrels hold blast effects? They said yes, they could produce blast effects, but they didn't say whether or not it was compatible with the likes of Hasbro Transformers blast effects or anything like that, so maybe they're not. We'd have to see that when I get one in my hands. Another question was, how secure are the connection ports? Again, this was probably asked because it did look a little bit wobbly on that leg, but they said they are working their best. They're keeping these as tight as possible. They're machine made, they said, and they can say each one is about 98% accuracy. So each port is about 98% the same as the other one. Again, everything has to be, because they have to be able to interchange all of the weapons. Final question was the all-important one around, when are they going to be shipped? Ace told us that, well, what we're aiming for here is late October. If they have any challenges at all, then it will be early November, which is great. Looking forward to that time frame. They do keep us really well updated, and I do have to say that they do seem to have been on track for the whole of this project so far. Speaking of projects, they did also show their next project. With that next project being Silverhawks, I believe it's something to do with Super 7 that they're doing as well. Don't expect me to cover that on this channel. Silverhawks is not something that speaks to me at all, so it's not really something that I'm going to be covering or interested in at all. But it's nice to know they have another contract in the works, but I will be covering it if they made any more Centurions like Dr. Terror. This is it. Make this dude. I want this dude. I will definitely jump back in then. Or, something I noticed for the entirety of this is the Ace is rocking a mask t-shirt. Do something with the mask license. I mean, Hasbro are just sleeping on it, doing nothing. I really want to see somebody do something with that mask license. So, hey, you're rocking the t-shirt. I mean, Phil Spencer from Xbox, right? You know, he whatever t-shirt he's rocking that year, you're going to see a remaster or something. Maybe Ace was doing something sneaky there with the mask license. Fingers crossed. I hope that would be a project for them in the future. Let me know your thoughts on these down in the comments. Are you as excited as I am about the Centurions coming back and what Ramen Toys are doing here? And I'll see you in my next video. Alright guys, in a bit. Peace!